Thank you to everybody who sent me this story. It was so many. It was overwhelming, and I got a lot to talk about, so we're not going to waste any time getting into this. So before we talk about this story, let me give you guys a disclaimer. We'll talk about this baby boy who was just failed by everybody, failed by his mom, his dad, his family, his foster parents, failed by the system, just failed in life. And these kids depend on us. I'm just a concerned father, and that's why I talk about these stories, okay? Some viewers may find the following content offensive and controversial. The information in this video comes from multiple sources, including court records, official police charges, news web articles, and interviews. This video commentary also contains my personal opinions about the facts of this story. The point is to use this story as a cautionary tale in hopes of preventing tragedies like these to children going forward. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer. And just to quote my source, I'm getting this from WDBJ7.com. I'm not going to even try to repeat that. Thank y'all for the article. Polk County, y'all know this is Sheriff Grady Judd's territory. Why do they keep producing so many of these damn stories? It's like Sheriff Grady Judd could literally be on every single day talking about stories that have to do with child death. Every single day. I want y'all to take a look at that picture right there, because that's the most y'all are going to see of the abuse that happened to this boy that had his hands tied behind his back, which you guys can see. So what was getting ready to happen, which you will not see, is this boy was beaten and then he was thrown in a pool and he was drowned by this heinous woman that you guys see on my screen who deserves a life sentence. Homicide detectives with Polk County Sheriff's Office in Florida, of course, Polk County, arrested and charged that woman who was allegedly 36 years old. She did not look 36. She does not look 36. So that means she's like almost 5 years younger than me. Damn. Woo. Boy, life hit her face so hard. Goodness gracious. Allegedly 36 years old. Her name is Patricia Saint-Tizere of Davenport, and she was charged with first-degree murder, aggravated child abuse, and tampering with a witness in the death of her 4-year-old son, who she adopted from Haiti. Want y'all to think about that for a moment. So this boy already was failed by his family in Haiti, came over here, and this boy was sent to this woman. It's a really just ridiculous story. Here we go. The child was brought to the United States and adopted by Saint-Tizere in April of 2023. I wish they would just use her first name, Patricia, the mother. According to a release from the sheriff's office, deputies were notified on May the 2nd by staff at Orlando Health Medical Center that a 4-year-old child died under what appeared to be suspicious circumstances. The child's body was taken to the District 9 medical examiner's office for an autopsy. The medical examiner the medical examiner at the hospital revealed an abdominal bleed that emergency surgery could not rectify. The autopsy concluded that the injuries were consistent with ongoing abuse. The child's death was determined to be from assault and blunt force trauma, and the manner of death was ruled as a homicide. I'm curious to know, before we even get into the rest of the details, yes, I think our country will be in a better place if Sheriff Grady Judd was our president. I love that idea. Love that idea. I'm curious to see the comment section because, I don't know if y'all know, but sometimes I get on there and I will comment on things that y'all are posting. I do it all the time. I do it every day. I'll just get in there and just see what people are typing. And I have noticed that there is a trend of people, not us in particular, that are watching right now, but there is a thank you, hashtag babies for benefits. That's exactly what this is. Tell them again. Tell them again. They didn't love this kid. Why did this woman take custody of this kid? GAB, and thank you for donating while we were offline. Thank you, sweetheart. I appreciate that. Using these children to collect benefits from them. They don't love them. They don't care about them. They don't want to see them grow up and become something great. They are literally just using them. What is going on with this trend of people that will sit here and give me excuses and say that, well, you don't know what she was going through mentally, Just Jay, and she might have been going through a hard time, and her mental health and her job was stressful. She didn't have a man in her life. And I'm gonna tell you guys this: for everybody who types those comments in my comment section, every single story that I post, there is never an excuse to hurt, murder, or abuse children, and anybody who would disagree with that, I think should not be a parent or around children, nor should they have freedom in our country, in my humble opinion. Now, detectives learned that the child was first brought to Heart of Florida Hospital at Davenport by Patricia, the mother, but due to his significant injuries, he was flown to a hospital in Orlando. Senator Zaire repeatedly denied to detectives that she ever used physical discipline, which we know for our sisters is bullshit. That's BS. We know how the black community gets down in general. It's not all, but in general, we know that story. And you do anything to a black parent, and the first thing that they want to do is they want to get physical. They want to get physical. Right? Like the song. It is widely accepted in the black community that it is okay for you to inflict physical violence on children when they misbehave, do something that you don't like, or if you're just having a bad day, it's okay to find an excuse to physically assault children. That's what it is. During initial interviews with the child's older teen brother, he denied being abused or witnessing abuse. However, after placing that teenager in custody of the Florida Department of Children and Families, he then said to detectives that Senator Zaire told him, when they ask you something, say nothing so I don't get in trouble. He also alleged that she threatened to kill him with a gun. And I 100% believe that. Detectives also learned that when the victim got home from school recently, the older brother went to another room for approximately 2 hours and did not see or hear what happened to the 4-year-old. Senator Zaire, the foster mother, then told the brother to bring food to the victim, but he noted that the child was unable to walk on his own and struggled to sit up at that time. This is a little bitty baby. I want y'all to remember that. Senator Zaire told the older brother that the victim was faking it, said he was faking, and urged him to feed him, the Polk County Sheriff said. The victim then became unresponsive, and the older brother began performing CPR, telling Senator Zaire they needed to take him to the hospital. During a forensic review of Senator Zaire's phone, detectives found 2 videos from home surveillance cameras that depict abuse, according to Polk County Sheriff's Office, and I'm going to comment on that. Another video clip allegedly shows her throwing the child into a pool as his hands were tied behind his back. And I want y'all to think about what type of cojones that it takes for this woman to have this stuff videotaped, be on video, be on surveillance, whatever it is. I'm just thankful that people are so stupid that they forget that technology is recording them and that technology can be used against them. I'm thankful for that because technology has made it to where we have been able to solve the story of so many children that we just wouldn't have any real idea about what actually happened. And we got it on tape. We got it on video. We got pictures of it. And we also understand that she threatened to kill his older brother if he decided to expose what really happened to this kid. So I would have to ask, if you're going to do all of that to children, why do you have them? Oh, that's right. Because they're getting paid. They're getting some type of benefits. Hashtag babies for benefits. They don't love these kids. They're only using these kids. They don't even want to see them grow up and become something great. Just nurture them, raise them, and be kind to them. They just absolutely can't do that. Let me give you guys the fair usage, and we'll get into more of the story, okay? Here we go. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. Without you guys sharing these stories, and I'm so grateful that you do, a lot of people wouldn't even know what's going on with any of these stories. So I'm grateful that you guys support our platform. Do me a favor and please hit that thumbs up and share this video, okay? And leave a comment. Let me know what you think.
Good evening and welcome to Tampa Bay Tonight. I'm Wendy Ryan. Our top story this evening, a 4-year-old boy is killed in Polk County. And we want to warn you, the details of this tragedy are quite disturbing. Investigators released some shocking images, and they say the person responsible for the young child's death was his adoptive mother, who beat the child multiple times while he was in her care after leaving Haiti. Our Chad Mills is in Davenport tonight with the details and a look at how to prevent similar tragedies.
Wendy, the sheriff says if there's any good here, it's that the child is no longer being hurt and is now in God's arms.
I am going to tell you a sad story, a very sad story.
It's a case that Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd says turns his stomach. A 4-year-old is dead, and the sheriff says the woman who was supposed to be his mother is to blame.
He's dead because she beat him to death.
According to the sheriff, Brian Boyer was adopted at birth in Haiti by a woman who eventually sent the child to her sister in Davenport, 36-year-old Patricia Saint-Nazaire, who's now accused of her adoptive son's death.
This never should have happened.
Judd says days ago, when the 4-year-old became lethargic and unresponsive, he was taken to the hospital where he died. The sheriff says medical examiners then found a pattern of abuse, including layers of bruising and a cut to his liver.
The medical examiner said it could have been nothing else other than an immediate hard strike to the abdomen.
He says detectives even found disturbing videos of the abuse on the woman's phone, including one where she throws the child in a pool with his hands tied behind him.
This makes me so angry.
Nikki Daniels is the director of Champions for Children, a nonprofit aimed at preventing child abuse.
Hearing about these kinds of things happening is just heartbreaking.
We reached out to her to find out how you can help spot child abuse before it's too late. She says look for bruising, stories that don't add up, and an unusual change in a child's behavior. And you can ask these questions.
And do you feel safe going home? Are you comfortable at home? And even to try to, especially with younger children, what's the best part of being at home? What's the best thing about it in your family? If the child can't think of anything, that's a concern.
She says all of us can and should keep our eyes peeled and report anything suspicious.
We have to be the village. It takes a village to raise a child. We have to be the village to help support and watch out for these kids.
As for the Polk County case, the sheriff does not believe the child's adoptive father was present during the abuse that killed the child. They're still trying to figure out if he was present during periods of past abuse. Meanwhile, the parent's adoptive 16-year-old son is now in protective custody.
Seems like they only adopted these kids just to collect whatever benefits they could get. And don't put it past her husband or boyfriend or whatever he is, the adopted father. Don't put it past him that he might have either participated or seen some shit and didn't say anything. Bookmark that. But right now, this is all going on her.
As we speak, this Polk County mother is in jail in a cell, accused of beating her 4-year-old son to death. We want to warn you the details in this case are disturbing, and it has a local neighborhood in shock tonight. Investigators released videos to us, which we are choosing not to show. They show what deputies say was a pattern of extensive abuse.
10 Tampa Bay's Chris Hurst spent the last few hours scouring the area and knocking on neighbors' doors to piece together what led up to this.
Tonight, Patricia Boyer Saint-Nazaire is here at the county jail in Bartow facing charges of first-degree murder, aggravated child abuse, and witness tampering. All this after she took little Brian Boyer to a hospital 1 week ago. And soon after, deputies got a call that something was horribly wrong.
What we've learned during this investigation just turns our stomach.
Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd said Saint-Nazaire adopted the 4-year-old from Haiti and brought him to Florida last year. Last week, she brought him first to this hospital in Haines City after he was weak and shaking uncontrollably. He was flown to another hospital where he died the next day. The medical examiner saw injuries consistent with abuse, including damaged internal organs.
As the autopsy went on, they found different layers of bruises and injuries from past beatings.
At first, Saint-Nazaire denied ever hitting the child, but as investigators kept digging, they found 2 videos on her phone. We've chosen not to show the videos because they show child abuse. One shows her throwing Brian into a pool with his hands tied. Another shows her beating him while he's on the ground.
And he's not even resisting it. It's just like it's a normal occurrence.
What I can't seem to understand is why, what's the purpose of recording the abuse? I mean, thank you for giving us evidence that we can convict you and put you in prison, hopefully for life. That would be awesome, right? A life sentence would be awesome. But what's the point of recording it? Like, I don't get that. Is that like some masochistic type stuff? Like let me make sure I said that word right. Let me make sure. Masochistic. I don't know if that's the right term. Yes, I did use it right. I used my big $5 word correctly. There's got to be like some type of masochistic stuff. Really weird.
The mother and her adopted son lived in this home in Davenport with another adopted teenage son and her husband. Little Brian was in pre-K at Lothman Oaks Elementary, where counselors have been assisting staff and student families.
And despite his abusive treatment, they said he was a happy child.
Saint-Nazaire made her first court appearance this afternoon, but she didn't have a lawyer present, so the court continued the case. But she may be back in court as early as tomorrow. Tonight, the 16-year-old adopted son is in protective custody.
First at 5, a new development and a horrible story out of Polk County. We first told you about this one yesterday. A mother accused.
I do have Sheriff Grady Judd's his press conference, but it's like 15 minutes long. We'll probably skip that one. But if y'all want to look it up, I'll just direct you guys to go to Polk County Sheriff's Office on YouTube, and you'll be able to see his full interview on this story.
Accused of beating her 4-year-old adoptive
So we'll play this one, and then we'll skip that interview.
son to death. Will not be getting out of jail anytime soon. 36-year-old Patricia Saint-Nazaire is being held without bond, charged with first-degree murder. Prosecutors say Brian Boyer's death was the result of long-term abuse, a crime that is sadly all too common. New tonight, Fox 13's Carla Byron spoke with the child advocate about what can be done to prevent tragedies like these.
We will begin with Patricia Saint-Nazaire.
Patricia Saint-Nazaire of Davenport appeared in court Thursday. Unable to retain an attorney, she was held on no bond on her charges, including first-degree murder.
It would have been great if we could have found this child and rescued him before he was beaten to death.
Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd says Saint-Nazaire beat her 4-year-old adopted son Brian Boyer to death last week. An autopsy showed he had a history of abuse, and Judge described several instances of brutality that he said made his stomach turn.
This is a breakdown of humanity.
Jody DeMang is a child advocate.
Now, that's actually a great question. Rude in the chat is asking, how did nobody at the school catch this ongoing abuse? So, especially with him being so small, and even like with the pictures, let me see if I can show y'all real quick. And I agree with you, actually. Even from the picture I saw here, and maybe this was just too late. If you ask me, looking at his face, can't you see the markings on his face that look like abusive marks? Because that would make the school mandated reporters if they see something wrong and don't say anything. But what did they notice? I mean, can we hold them accountable if they did not know? I personally believe that you have to start looking for these signs. You can't ignore this. It looks like he has black eyes and healing marks on his face. So I have to agree with you.
Advocate at One More Child in Lakeland. She says children aren't likely to verbalize abuse, so there are nonverbal cues people can look out for.
That might be a child who is very tired at school, who has a lot of absences or frequent tardies, who doesn't have their personal care taken care of. Maybe they don't have appropriate clothing, or they're eating insatiably at school, or maybe they're showing up with marks and bruises that are unexplained.
She adds people should always take their concerns to the top.
The truth is, if you see anything that's concerning, you should never hesitate, whether you're a teacher or just a community member, never hesitate to report that, because even the small sign can be something that is big happening within the home.
Saint-Nazaire will appear in court again next month. In Polk County,
her demeanor, even in court, just didn't seem like she really gave a damn. I mean, like I said, there's more extensive videos that y'all could probably go out there and find. But she just kind of just seemed like, hey, it is what it is. She just didn't care at all. Her demeanor is all off.
Carla Byron, Fox 13 News.
One More Child offers intervention and prevention services from family support and nursing to effective parent training. They also license foster homes. So if you feel that you can provide a child with a safe and loving home, that might be an option to consider.
Really, all you can do is this. I think the foster care system, not only is it a fail-safe, but I just think it's very, very, very flawed, and we have to understand what it is. It's not meant to save every single situation. It's really just more like a fail-safe, like a safety net, and you just hope that they can save some children. But at the end of the day, you'd have to blame the biological mother and biological father of Brian Boyer. Why would they bring a child into this world that they didn't want, that they couldn't provide for or care for? But guess what? It's too many of us that do that. So we have to also start blaming the source. The source is the biological mother, biological father, because you shouldn't be having kids that you do not want to provide for and that you don't want to provide. If you're not in a financial position to be able to take care of the kids, then don't create them. Don't do the actions. Let me tell y'all something. I'm going to be a little bit rude, no pun intended. But I said this to a friend recently. Why is it that it's always the people who don't have nothing, who are broke, that want to have the most sex and produce the most children? It's beyond me, and I just wish that those people would make more responsible choices, because you can't sit there and regulate people from not procreating. But at the same time, we would hope that there would be more accountability on the biological mothers and biological fathers. Don't have these kids until you're ready, until you want them, until you're properly able to provide for every single one that you have, right? Be held accountable for all your children. This child should have never have left Haiti, should have never been, even though Haiti is a poor area, right? For whatever reason, that child ended up making it over here, and that child was passed over to this woman who clearly didn't give a rat's behind about this kid. And I pray that her soul will get no rest when it finally meets its maker in hell for what she did to this child, and also caused the pain and suffering of the older sibling as well. If that biological father is guilty of anything, even watching it and not saying anything, he needs prison time too. And I think he needs just as much time in prison as her. You got to know that this stuff is wrong. And if you don't need to be in our society, in my humble opinion. To Brian, that little prince, young prince, R.I.P. And we wish that we could save more of these children. And Polk County continues to keep producing some of the worst stories you'll ever want to hear. Support this channel. Click the like, leave a comment, share these videos so more people can know what's really going on in our society, if you would, okay? Thank you.